Welcome back, folks. Today we're going to go over a basic list of tools that your average person could find useful. And just to be clear, none of these tools today in this video are about the brand. It's all about the type of tool. And so we're going to get through these real quick. I don't want to linger and discuss each tool very long. I want to get through the list in the shortest amount of time. So, to start off the list, we're going to go with, obviously, flashlights. And flashlights of many different types. I prefer rechargeable flashlights. If you've got a power outage or something and your flashlights have been on the charger, then you know when the power goes out, you're going to be good to go. You've got power. Again, doesn't matter what brand you get, whatever you like the best. This bendy kind is pretty nice. It's got a magnet here on the end. But again, it doesn't matter. As long as you got some flashlights, you're good. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, a decent pair of quality sharp scissors. You don't have to spend a lot of money as long as they're, decent and they work. And maybe have two of these, one for your kitchen and maybe one for your desk or something. But obviously a scissor, pretty self-explanatory, always handy to have. Okay, razor knives, otherwise known as box cutters, otherwise known as utility knives. Super handy tool. It can be used for dozens of different things. This is kind of the old school, Stanley utility knife, made in the USA. It's been around for decades. Again, brand doesn't matter, but that's just what I have. It's got a razor. It comes out the end. These are all pretty much the same thing, just a different design. There's a razor. Yeah, these things are a lifesaver for getting into your Amazon packages or multiple other things around the house. So get yourself at least one good razor knife. Okay, good screwdriver set. At least two different sizes. You got Phillips number 1 and Phillips number 2. And then two different sizes of straight blade. You want two of each at least. You could get one size larger in each style. So a little bit larger straight blade and Phillips number 3. But these 4 screwdrivers will get you through for pretty much anything you could find, whether you're working on your house, working on a car, working on some sort of a project, putting furniture together, whatever the case may be. These 4 screwdrivers are going to do 99% of what you need. Let's get on to the next one. Okay, a hook and pick set. This may be a little bit more towards the mechanic thing as opposed to your average, person doing repairs around the house, but again, you never know when you need to get in and pick something or dig something out of a small area. A little cheap hook and pick set. These can be had fairly cheap on the internet, a few dollars. Get yourself a hook and pick set and put it in the drawer. Someday you'll thank yourself. Trust me. Very handy tool. All right, next we got a set of hex keys. Hex key sets. We've got it in SAE and metric. This is a very old set of mine. They've been around forever, as you can tell by the looks of them. This is not my main set. It was just a set I grabbed to make this video. These are actually in pretty tough shape now that I'm looking at them. But it's a great set of hex keys, and nowadays, socket cap screws, and, whether you're putting furniture together or changing a license plate on your car or whatever the case may be, you may run into a situation where you need hex keys or Allen wrenches, some people call them. So you don't have to buy an expensive set, but just get a set of each because, you don't get to pick the fastener. If the fastener you're working on is SAE, you need an SAE set of wrenches. If you're working on a metric set of fasteners, you need a metric set of wrenches. You don't get to pick. You're like, well, I'm just going to buy these or I'm just going to buy that. You need both sets. So just get yourself a set and put them in the drawer and you'll have them. Next is what I call a flat pry bar. Very thin pry bar. It comes to a point you can get under nails if you're trying to pull boards apart. It's got this 90 degree on the end. You can hammer this in, hammer from this side, and hammer this in between two pieces of metal or wood or whatever the material is, and then you can wiggle the end and try and pry things apart. Very inexpensive tool, very handy tool, and for what these things cost, they're well worth having in a toolkit. Let's move on. Next tool up is a claw hammer. This is a very old hammer of mine. It's well used, but the reason why I pulled this one out is to show you the style of hammer. It's a claw hammer. And for your very first hammer, or if you're only going to have one hammer, I recommend a claw hammer. Now, if you're doing mechanic work or metal working, metal fabrication, a claw hammer, you know, this end of it will still work just fine, but this end does you no good for metalworking or mechanics. This is more of like home construction or home repair. But for your first hammer or your only hammer, I recommend this one. And it doesn't matter the brand. If you're a bigger, stronger person, you can get a longer one. They're harder to swing, but you get more force behind it. If you're not as strong or big of a person and you don't want such a large hammer, you make them shorter, they make them lighter. And if you decide you want to get carried away and get into other types of hammers, there's many to choose from. There's a ball peen hammer. There's a dead blow ball peen hammer. Another larger dead blow ball peen hammer. And then you have just a dead blow soft face hammer. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But get yourself a claw hammer first. Okay, next is going to be your basic pair of pliers. The options or the uses for a pair of pliers is pretty much endless. The number of uses for a pliers or different types of pliers. But if you only have one, get yourself a basic pair of adjustable pliers. You can go to 2 different sizes with this adjustable joint in the middle. And this will handle most of the things you're looking to do for basic, repairs around the house or whatnot. And if you really feel like getting carried away, you can get multiple different types of pliers for multiple different types of jobs. Not going to go into it here. That's outside the scope of this video, but the options for different types of pliers are endless, and it is really handy to have more than one type. And one type that you may want to consider would be a locking pliers, like this one here in the middle, made by Vice Grip. And if you want to get carried away, they make these in multiple different sizes and shapes and configurations also. Here, we'll use another pair of Vice Grips to demonstrate. These will clamp down on a jaw. You got to adjust it a little bit here. You just to turn the knob to adjust it. These will clamp down on something and not let go. So, pretty handy. Next one is an adjustable wrench. Some people call them a crescent wrench. That happens to be a brand of adjustable wrench. Many companies make them, but it's adjustable. You spin the wheel with your thumb and the jaws get open and close. These are great for plumbing water lines and drain lines and other areas where you've got room to get this larger headed wrench onto a fastener. You don't have to have the exact size wrench. These are handy also for metal fabricating. Believe it or not, you can bend metal with these real nice. They serve a really good purpose in the world. A lot of people frown on these things, but I think there should be one in every basic toolbox because it does come in handy. If you like that traditional style of adjustable wrench, then you may want to consider the Knipex Pliers Wrench, which is a different form of adjustable smooth jaw wrench where the jaws open up and close parallel to each other. I've already done a video specifically on these. You can check that out in my previous videos. But let's move on to the next one. All right, the next one is a basic mechanics tool set. And even if you're not looking to be a mechanic, this does have basic hand tools that can be used in any trade other than mechanics. It's just ratchets, wrenches, and sockets. Again, I'm not promoting any brand here. You can get these in multiple different brands. This is an older kit, obviously, but you can get these in multiple different brands from multiple different locations and retailers and online and in brick and mortar stores. And it's a very, very handy kit. In fact, this particular one rides under the back seat of my pickup truck. And this has been all over the country many, many times. You could use this as your home tool kit. If you don't do much work at your place, you can use this as your home tool kit, but just store it in your vehicle in case you need it while you're going down the road. But we're going to take a quick look at it here. We're not going to spend much time on it. Here's where you get all your sockets, your ratchets, your wrenches. There's wrenches under there. I'll show you that next. But 3 different size ratchets. You got 1/4, 3/8, 1/2 inch. You got swivel sockets. You got extensions, and you've got 6-point sockets in all 3 different drive sizes in metric and standard. There are a few hex keys in here. So like I mentioned earlier, those hex key kits, This does have hex keys, and there are some little screwdriver type bits in here that will fit into this screwdriver handle. So you got, you know, Phillips and straight blade, and there's some Torx bits, and there's a square drive. And what's really nice is in here there's an adapter that goes into this screwdriver, and then it turns it into a quarter square drive. So these little quarter drive sockets will go onto the screwdriver handle, and now instead of having to use a ratchet, you can thread, you know, little nuts on and off studs or bolts or whatever. You can just thread them on and off with this screwdriver handle instead of having to use a big ratchet. Real quickly, we'll spin around here and look at the wrenches. Oh, I forgot. There's a few more deep well sockets in here. So you got your shorts up on that other side up there, and then down here you've got your deep well, and then of course you've got a basic standard set of combination wrenches, metric and SAE. Let's get into the next tool. Next one is a tape measure. Everybody's got to have a tape measure. You got to be able to measure something. If you're calling to order something on the phone, doesn't matter if you're hanging blinds at your house or curtains, or you're measuring for an entertainment center, or you want to know how big your pillowcases are. It doesn't matter. You got to have a tape measure. If you're going to go out and buy a new couch and you don't know if you have enough room in your living room or your family room for it to fit, you'll know if you have a tape measure. Now, I would preferably have a 30-foot. One is enough, but you need at least a 16-foot. Keep it in your drawer or your box with tools, and so you know where it is when you need it. You'll be glad you did. Okay, the next one is a bubble level. They call this one a torpedo level because of the shape. It's about, let's see. It's about 9 inches long, and it's great for leveling appliances. Your stove in the kitchen. You ever pour a little olive oil or some sort of oil in your pan to start frying something, and it all runs to one side of your pan? Well, you need to level your oven. How are you going to get it level? You use a bubble level or a torpedo level. You can get these from this size all the way up to, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 feet long. I happened to pick up another one the other day when I was in the store. I forget exactly. You can get a level. I saw one in this brand at the Big Orange box store. I'm not going to say names, but you can get this brand for $2. This one's metal with magnets and stuff. This was more like $12, I think, or $14. But you can get a functioning level that's made out of plastic for as little as $2. Get yourself a level. Okay, circuit tester. It's just a basic circuit tester. You plug it into an outlet, and the 2 orange lights should light up. And if they do, then everything is wired correctly in your outlet, and you don't have to be worried about using it. It means the polarity is correct, the hot is on the hot side, the neutral's on the neutral side, and you have a proper ground on the outlet. If for any reason the 2 orange lights don't come on and you get a red light, there's a chart here that tells you exactly what each light scenario means. But you want to see ideally the 2 orange lights and nothing else. In older houses, they never used to use a ground. And if you didn't use a ground, then modern day surge protectors don't work correctly. This has a test button to test your GFI to make sure your ground fault circuit interrupter is working on the outlet if the outlet has one. And these are only a few bucks, and you only need one. I recommend just getting one. I mean, this one here, I just bought this one not too long ago because I couldn't find my old one, which I ended up finding. And I bought that one because at one point I couldn't find my old one. Anyway, long story short, you only need one of these. They all do the same thing. They're very cheap. And at least you know when you're plugging your expensive electronics into an outlet if it's wired correctly. And not only for your electronics, but for your own safety. Electricity can be dangerous, and if it's not wired correctly, you'd like to know about it. So, circuit tester, very cheap. Get one, put it in your box. Everybody should have some sort of a drill. Again, doesn't matter the brand. You can buy the cheapest one. I don't know if I'd buy the cheapest one because they're pretty bad. But You don't have to buy the most expensive drill, and it doesn't even have to be a battery cordless drill. It could be a corded plug-in drill. If you don't use something very often, you don't have to have the best of the best. And a drill is very handy to have. And when I say a drill, you need a drill and you need bits to go with the drill. And so first off, this is a Phillips bit in, it doesn't want to come out. It's a Phillips bit in this bit holder, and you can change them out for different types of bits. And then of course you also need, along with the drill, you also need drill bits. Now this drill bit index set is a mess, so please forgive me. I just grabbed it off the workbench. I have better, nicer sets of drills, but I actually won this years ago from my local welding supply company. Anyway, that's a different story for a different time. But you need bits for various things that you're going to drill holes or drive screws or whatever the case may be. You can even put that adapter in here from that socket set I showed you earlier that turned that screwdriver into a nut driver. You can put that adapter in here that's meant to go into that screwdriver, and now you can put a socket on the end of your drill for driving lag bolts or something that have a hex head on them. So get yourself a drill, corded or cordless. Don't buy the cheapest. Get something, I would say, midline, middle of the road. Otherwise, all it's going to do is let you down. And then, a decent set of bits. And when I say decent, the cheaper bits are pretty much made from some form of hard cheese, and they just burn right up the first time you try to drill a hole in steel. But if you're just drilling through sheetrock or plywood or some sort of a softer material, cheaper bits are fine. But I would say a middle-of-the-road drill and a middle-of-the-road set of bits, basic set of bits. You don't have to get crazy. And you don't even have to have a huge set of bits, because if you run into a project where you need a certain bit, you can go to the store and buy just that bit instead of having to buy a kit with the one bit you need and then 28 others that you don't need. So just get a basic set to get you started, and then if you need a specialty bit, you can just buy that by itself later. All right, let's move on. And the last tool I think everybody should have is a 6-foot ladder. And that way you pretty much can reach anything inside your house. Anyway, folks, let me know if I missed something. What other tool would you put on this list for your basic set of tools that your average person could find themselves needing at any given time? What did I miss? Let me know what I missed. All right, but that's all I have for now. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.